Hey guys, it's Sister here today, and today we're going to be reacting to 3 scary animations. And guys, tell me if you want this to be a series, since I can make it a series if you want it to be a series. So let's get into it. And the first one is The Horn-Headed Man.
Moonlight peered through my window as I jolted awake. My clamorous breaths disturbed the silence of my dark room. I had just come out of a frightful dream that had me thinking it was all too real.
Who the heck leaves their door open when they sleep?
With sweat on my brow, I sat up and grabbed my water from the nightstand and took a sip from the now warmed glass. My hands shook as I recounted my nightmare of the horn-headed man. In my dream, I was walking through my neighborhood, the street lights flickering as I made my way down the uninhabited sidewalk. Nothing threatening, just a walk through the midnight hours. A block down, I could see a figure in the distance, walking slowly towards me. His steps seemed mismatched and labored. He passed a few houses looking straight ahead, neither looking left nor right. His head was fixed on the sidewalk in front of him. As I was getting closer to my home, I could see him slowly starting to embark on my territory. I quickly rushed to my front door and hurried inside. Through my window, I could see him walk past my property. I was thinking to myself, "Oh God, please have him keep going, please." He was just about to walk all the way past my front yard when he stopped.
Oh, that sucks.
His body almost shifted abnormally as he turned to face my home. He just stood there, looking, not moving, just standing there. The man bore the horned head of a skeletal goat. His body was pale and looked fragile, and his fingers were thin and bony. I thought to myself, what does he want? Slowly, he started lifting a quivering arm and pointed right at me. I started to backpedal into the darkness of my house, when all of a sudden he let out an inhuman screech. That's when I woke up. Too frightened to go back to bed, I turned on the television and saw that the local news for early risers was on. My stomach dropped, and my body suddenly turned cold as I listened to the current news report. The news anchor on the television said, "Breaking news. A woman who lived on Columbia Avenue has been murdered. Local officials say that they received an anonymous phone call from the victim's home. We arrived at the house at around 12:20. We saw the victim inside and a card which rested next to her." The sheriff held up the card. On the back of it, I could see the image of the horn-headed man. The officer started to read. "One down. Slowly I go." He then lifted his head back up. His blood started trickling from his eyes and mouth.
No!
I sat there shaking.
Disgusting.
I couldn't breathe. Columbia's just 3 blocks away from me.
Guess you're dead
I jumped
now.
out of my bed and ran to my window. Something within me made me want to look outside. That's when I saw him. He just stood there, looking, not moving, just looking. The horn-headed man, his body pale and fragile, and his fingers thin and bony.
Okay. So that was the first one. The next one is gonna be this. No, let's watch this one now.
My name is Josh Roberts, and it's been a year since I was abducted. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was walking home from school. It was about 6 p.m., and there was a full moon and a chill in the air. I stepped off the bus, and for the first time, someone else got off with me. I'd never seen this new kid at school before. I could hear footsteps behind me. I took a quick glance and saw the kid walking at a brisk pace. I thought he was following me, so I took a left, which wasn't my usual route. I looked around again and saw him take the same left. My heart started pumping and my legs started shaking at the sound of the footsteps as they got louder and faster. I then panicked and started running. I remembered a shortcut in the nearby forest to my neighborhood, so I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. "Hey kid, wait up," said a heavy voice from behind me. I tried my hardest not to stumble on the logs and boulders in my path. I could hear the sound of sticks and leaves being broken by some fast, heavy footsteps. My legs started throbbing as the adrenaline wore off, so I took a detour towards a playground. I stopped to catch my breath, looking around for somewhere to hide.
Don't stop.
And
Why
went
are you
silent.
walking?
I was doubtful that I lost
You
him.
are the most
I took my
idiot
phone out
kid
and called
ever.
the police when I
I've ever
spotted
seen
a local news
in one of
article.
these animations.
Caution. There is a suspicious man on the loose. He escaped the local prison and assaulted an officer. Beware. He may look like a teen, but he is in his 20s.
Okay,
If
run.
you see him, call 911 immediately and lock your door.
My mind started rushing
Run.
with thoughts, and I started to panic. All of a sudden, someone started
Stupid
choking me with
idiot.
their arm. I tried to fight back, but they were so strong. I didn't
This
stand a
what-
chance. My
Guys, this is
feeling
what
of
happens when you
hope
are
diminished as I
really
slowly
stupid and
blacked
someone's
out.
trying to kill you. You stop.
I awoke to
Oh,
find myself in a dark, damp room that looked like a
Oh, he's
basement.
20?
The
Let's
floor
just
was
stand here
hard
and
and
wait
cold.
for him
There were
to
no
seriously
windows.
catch
There
me.
was a staircase and a
Most
bathroom. I
idiot
tried to move, but I was
thing
tied up with a
ever.
thick rope.
Yeah, I got him. How much was the deal? 200?
Listen, you gotta do a little better than that. Okay, fine. You better bring the right amount, or you'll be tied up like that kid. What? Are they selling me? The guy sounded mad and anxious with whomever he was talking to. Right after he hung up, he opened the door and walked down the stairs with an evil smile. "Let go of me!" I exclaimed as he taunted me. My arms started to fall asleep due to the tightness of the rope. He came closer to me, and I spat in his face. He looked at me in
Savage.
sheer rage.
Oh,
Then the doorbell rang, followed by pounding on the door. The
boy.
guy grabbed some tape and
This
shut
guy's
me
gonna
up before
die.
I could scream for help. He slowly backed off, signaling me to keep quiet, and ran towards the
Why
front
does
door.
it not look
I looked
suspicious?
around, trying to see what I could use to untie these ropes. I spotted a rusty, sharp edge sticking out of the wall.
Damn.
This was my one hope. I successfully got up and tried with all my might to reach it. As I was trying to cut the rope from my hands, I could hear the commotion upstairs getting heated. I managed to free myself from the ropes when I heard the front door slam. The silence was
Move.
terrifying.
Go
I
back
was
to your
frozen
spot.
in fear.
Do a little fakey.
Footsteps started coming towards the door. I choked and shuffled back to my original position, arms behind my back, wrists tightly locked together. "Now where were
There
we?"
you go.
said the
Now this
man.
kid's getting a little
He
smart.
walked towards me, grabbed my ankles, and started dragging me when the phone rang. He dropped me
This
instantly
kid is
and
the
charged
luckiest kid
upstairs.
ever.
I wasn't
When I
going
say
to do
luckiest, he's the
I
luckiest.
untied my
Where's
feet,
the
grabbed the closest thing to me,
doorbell?
and hid behind some boxes.
Ring.
"Now where did you go?"
I'll take that
said
metal
as he
piece and
stamped
shove
me
it in
down the
his
stairs.
freaking
I
bag.
heard him getting
That's what
closer
I'll
to
do.
where it was hiding. I bolted up from behind the boxes and saw him checking the
Stab him
bathroom.
in the back.
As he walked out, I struck him over the head with a pole.
Bah,
He
bah.
stumbled and fell to the floor. Crimson red
Okay,
all
hit
around
him
his
again.
head. I ran
Nope.
upstairs and out the front
Running.
door.
Oh, yeah.
I stumbled my
He's
way to the
actually
closest
bleeding out of
house,
his leg.
screaming. A woman
Right, darling.
thankfully opened the door. She was shocked and fearful when she saw me. The police were called and I was rushed into the hospital. They're still looking for that man,
You're just,
even to this
hey, how
day.
you doing? Yeah, trying to stab you. Yeah, it's fine. Even though you stabbed me yesterday. Okay, this is the one. There it is. The last one is probably going to be Scary Field Trip Horror Story Animated. That's going to be the last one. Guys, remember, comment below if you want this to be a series, and hit that bell and turn on the notifications, and and just smash your forehead and the like button. Yeah, just do that. Or you can just press it.
Back in high school, I took a mysteries and mythology
Now what?
type class, or something like that. I don't remember the name of the class. It basically just had to do with real-life mysteries and creepy shit. I was into that kind of stuff. I was taking the class with a good friend, who I'll call Ben for this story. The teacher of the class took us on a field trip to a nearby abandoned village with an unknown past. The village was built in the early 1900s, but seems as though it had been quickly abandoned shortly after it was built. The bus ride there was about 20 minutes. All of us were glued to the bus windows as we pulled up some sketchy-looking, decrepit road cutting through dense forest. The road eventually led to a clearing. We were there. We stepped out onto the road, which had grass growing through the cracks. The grass surrounding was almost knee-high.
Yes, dang.
Then there were the buildings.
Go over there and cut
The
it.
tall, archaic brick buildings with the boarded-up windows all gave off such chilling vibes. The teacher lined all 20 of us up, counted heads, and then began leading the way. The point of this little field trip was to use the so-called skills that we learned in class to see if we could put anything together about why the village may have been abandoned so long ago. Some of the buildings had holes in the walls to serve as entryways. There were even holes in the ground next to some of the buildings, seemingly dug to get into the basements of some of the buildings, which seemed creepy. There was one building, though. It stood taller than any of the others. It just intrigued me the
It's
most.
on a mountain.
While the teacher was leading the group towards the village church, Ben and I decided to sneak off on our own to look for anything interesting. When we walked off in the direction of the tallest building, we saw a hole in the ground. It was dug by the back door of the building, which had been sealed off.
So fall down hole.
In the hole was a ladder which led down to the
We're not.
concrete floor below.
Just climb down a ladder.
We both looked at each other and knew we had to do it. Ben climbed down first, then me. Luckily, this was just around the time Apple started putting flashlights on their phones, so we had a source of light. It was creepy down there. There were a couple of beer bottles, one graffiti tag on the wall, and dusty wooden planks everywhere. There was a wooden stairway which led up to complete darkness, since all windows and doors had been sealed shut from above. We had already gone as far as the edge of the building, so we figured we'd go up the stairs too. I went first, and with each step, the creakiness of the 100-year-old wood made me feel as if I was going to fall through each and every step. Ben followed suit. This floor of the building was very tight. It seemed like there were many openings going off into different, smaller rooms. It was so dark in there, you would never even guess it was daytime.
Oh, God.
Ben and I were honestly starting to get creeped out in there, and agreed to go back outside. But just then, there was a noise in one of the tiny rooms,
Run.
like a big rock hitting the concrete floor.
Okay, run.
A normal instinct would be to run, but Ben and I froze, locked eyes for a moment, then both tiptoed over to the opening of the room.
Stupidest
We shined the lights into the room
idea ever.
and ran. We ran back down the stairs and then up the rusty ladder
Demon?
back outside.
Something?
We caught up to the group out of breath. We didn't say anything, though, to avoid getting in trouble. One of our classmates asked us what was wrong. We told him we snuck into one of the buildings. And in one of the rooms, when we shined the light into it, we saw 3 guys standing maybe 10 feet away from the doorway,
What?
facing Ben and I in a weird formation, as if they were waiting for us.
Let's go. Run.
As we continued following the group, we paid extra attention to the tall building we entered from the distance. And before leaving, we saw a person's face at one of the higher level windows that had not been boarded up. We never told the teacher in fear of getting in trouble. We didn't know what to think. Were those just homeless people living in there?
No.
Were they gang members in hiding?
Yes.
Ben freaks me out with his theory. He says they were ghosts of the people who once lived in the town.
Never mind.
Still,
That's
the way the 3 guys were
Why?
just hauntingly standing there so calmly, staring at us the moment we peeked our heads through that doorway, I still can't get that image out of my head. I may go back to that village one day, just to prove Ben's idea wrong.
Stupid idiot. Let's get games. Pop, pop, pop. You're not gonna catch any of those hands. Guys, that is it. I hope you have a great time, and I was reacting to Walmart, so go check out Walmart and subscribe to them. And I hope you have a great time. Bye.